the Switch is so hardy because so many of the games on is designed for just rage throwing.
Oh my God. Yes, yes. And with that, I say, welcome to Geeks with Kids, your bi-weekly geeky podcast from a parenting point of view. I am your host, Eric, this week. And joining me this week is Shouse, David, Hawk, and Mr. Matt Moore. How's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, hello. It's better now because I stopped watching that Monster Hunter movie. Because
why did you start watching the Monster Hunter movie?
Because I was intrigued by it. It's terrible, but anyway, let's start off like we do every week with the stuff that we're liking this week. Not like Monster Hunter, something we actually like and enjoy, something where you salivate for it. It's so delicious to you. It's just something
that is your yum by chance.
Yes, it is your yum, Matt Moore.
I'm leaning right into it this week.
Oh, good. See, we got David still going, oh God, what these guys? But we got Matt Moore back on board. Back on board for the first time.
I'm not on board. I'm just leaning into it because I knew you were building it way too much. I'm like, fuck it, I'm stealing your hype. It's mine.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's start off with Shouse. Shouse, what are you liking this week? What's your yum, sir?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a game that I've been playing for, I'm going to say we're coming up on 5 years now. It is
not Animal Crossing.
It is not Animal Crossing. No, I'm going to be talking about Pokemon Go, which is still a very important part of my sort of daily gaming life. If you sort of look back at all the games that I've been playing over the years, like this is still one that I'll turn on every single day. I'll make sure I get, Pokestop spun. I'll make sure I check and see what kind of quests I need to do. And they just had an event this past weekend. They had an event that was focusing on the Kanto region, right? Which is the original, Game Boy, the Pokemon, they had it presented as red and green, but it was red and blue, here. And so basically you buy a ticket for this event and then you can choose if you want to be part of the red or part of the green. And then as you are playing, certain Pokemon that are primarily in those games will spawn where you're playing and you have a chance to catch them. And I was playing it with my kids and it's just, they're doing such a good job of still making this game interesting and still making it fun. And I caught a whole ton of shinies on the weekend. Which for me is sort of the thing that's keeping me coming back. You guys probably can't see my shinies on there.
But there they are, kind of. Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
I got a shiny Ditto there. I got a shiny Pinsir. I got a shiny Sandshrew. Like there's a whole bunch, and it's just the euphoria you get when a shiny disappears. And I know I paid real money to catch a digital animal.
You paid money for this game? I thought it was free.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, the game is free, but if you're like really into it, you can give them money.
What?
You sound so ashamed.
A popular game with microtransactions? That doesn't happen.
From Nintendo?
But if I think about it, like the number of games that I spent like 60, 70, 80 bucks on and only played a couple of hours and then stopped playing. Whereas looking at something like this that started off as a free game where every now and then I'll throw 10 bucks, 15 bucks into it, to get some additional Pokemon storage, or in this case, the event. Now this seemed a little excessive, but the event ticket was $17 Canadian.
Damn.
For this event. But and I also needed to buy one for my son too, so let's make that times two.
Oh God, not for your daughter.
She didn't really want to play it. I offered it to her, and she's like, no, I'm just gonna play Mario Odyssey instead on the Switch.
Damn straight.
Here's the thing about that, though, and I'm just going to throw that because I'm just call me a wacky realist. I'm just going to throw that.
You're a wacky realist, man.
I think that a game requires you to physically go outside into the real world. They wouldn't be charging $17 a pop for countries that have quarantine going on. But
how does that work? Like, do you still have to? Can you spin at your house, or like
they did a bunch of things sort of once COVID started. They made it so that you can actually reach gyms and Pokestops from a further distance. You can actually, like, some of the things that you would normally have to go and spin will just get given to you sort of throughout the day. They give you like free item gift packs that you can just collect throughout the day to make sure you have enough supplies. And there's a lot more spawns. So I played most of it just from my house. I just sat on my couch and played. You pop on an incense.
So more of a Pokemon stay then.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the DLC.
I appreciate more now, and that's good. But like, that's just for me. I'm like, it's $17 a pop. Like,
And that was just for the event yesterday. Like normally the game doesn't cost anything. You can completely play it free.
Sure.
And they even had some things happening. Was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Saturday. But they had things happening on Saturday that for people that weren't buying the ticket. So you could totally still get the increased spawns. But if you wanted to get all of the bonus stuff and have the increased chance of shinies and stuff, then you pay for the ticket.
Okay.
And so it's more for the diehards, right? But it's a game that I still keep coming back to. And so for me, it's worth it because how many games do we have that we can continue to play 5 years down the road, like on a daily basis? Except maybe Destiny. I don't know. You guys still playing Destiny?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
more or less. Once in a blue moon.
So that's what I'm kind of into right now, or what I wanted to share anyway.
Nice. Before we move on to the next person, Case Dragon mentioned, and I'll forget if I don't say it now, that Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse is getting remastered and returning to the various consoles. So that's actually pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I know friend of the show, Stu, is a really big fan of that game, especially the soundtrack, which is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to Huck. What are you liking this week?
I haven't been too excited about anything on that, but I did pick up the new Super Mario 3D plus Bowser Fury for the Switch.
I gotta get that. So
I know I haven't delved too far into it.
It looks like Mario Death Stranding. Like,
you know what? That's not a bad comparison. Except you don't run into BTs or invisible ghosts in this one and that. But no,
I still
there is
haven't
a
played
fun,
that game.
It's quite there is quite a fun dynamic to it in that because Bowser in it is this huge oily covered monster in that who appears at random in that and starts spewing fire all over the entire landscape in that and you can hurt him by activating lighthouses and that by collecting enough kitty signs and yeah
That pretty much does sound exactly like Mario Death Stranding. Like that.
Anyways,
They're branching out, right? They had Mario Kart, Mario Golf. Come on, they're branching out.
Yeah, Mario Death Stranding.
All right.
Anyways, so far, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back more into it. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, we got to get into our Destiny 2 season pass. That's what we got to do. Huck. All right, let's move over to David. What are you liking this week?
well, jumping back to games that are 5 years older, this week is IEM Katowice, which means it's the biggest StarCraft tournament in the world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like $120,000 prize pool, something like that. So I've been watching that.
Damn.
I watched that Saturday, Sunday, today, like this morning, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. And really, really good games.
Was it attached to BlizzCon?
No, because last BlizzCon was basically such a shit show for StarCraft that another company, which is like Intel, basically Intel Extreme Masters and DreamHack, was like, why don't we just handle this? Because Blizzard didn't want to support the esport anymore at all. Like StarCraft isn't even on the earnings call anymore for Blizzard or Activision Blizzard, because it basically makes them no money at this point. So they just like stopped caring about it. And all the guys who were doing the balance patches did one less balance patch to make Protoss like a little bit imba, because they're all Protoss players. And then they quit and started their own company. And now they're making a new game. Man. Maybe you've heard of them. They're called Frost Giant.
Yep. I love Frost Giant games.
Well, they haven't made any games yet, but
didn't they do the?
I think that's somebody else.
I'm thinking of
these guys
Frostpunk.
Just started the company.
I'm thinking of Frostpunk.
Yeah. I mean, Frostpunk's sweet too, but I'm just watching StarCraft for like 9 hours a day right now. It's great.
Nice.
But
Nice.
not being laid off and being in quarantine, sitting around watching StarCraft, getting fat.
Good times.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Moore.
Did you guys, just before you go to that, did you guys see they announced a remaster of Diablo 2?
Resurrected.
Yeah.
I did hear that.
Yeah. So excited.
Do I really want to play
We'll
Diablo
see.
2
Like
again?
I want
Yes, you want to play Diablo 2.
But like Brood War Remastered was really good, but Warcraft 3 Remastered was really bad.
It was so bad.
So, I mean, I've just got to wait and see, because Diablo
Fingers
2,
crossed.
But thousands of hours.
They also announced the arcade edition, which has the Lost Vikings and Blackthorn, which is what I want to try.
And the racing, whatever the racing.
The racing one, I didn't play that game. Rock and Roll Racing, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's the one.
Anyway, whatever. Matt Moore.
Oh geez, my brain just hiccup. Two things. Really, Jen and I are both deep diving into Dimension
Agatha.
20.
Oh, no.
No. That's the main topic. I will beat you with a sack of quarters. No, Dimension 20. Watch it. Watch that. Watch it. Listen to it. Love it. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this last week. Did we
talked about it last week, and it still doesn't stop being hilariously phenomenal.
Nice.
And also, I made myself sit down and watch Wally's Wonderland.
Wally's Wonderland.
Or as I like
Is
to
that the
call
Nick Cage movie?
Nick Cage does Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes.
That's right.
It
Wow.
is.
What's the verdict?
It is superb.
Like superb or superb for a Nick Cage movie?
Nick Cage does not speak throughout the entire movie. He just kicks the shit out of demon animatronics. Literally, he has no dialogue. I think he grunts twice.
So they paid him as an extra, or
Right.
He got top billing, I'm sure.
He got top billing, but with
Got
no
all the
dialogue,
money.
so he'd technically be a day player. No, it's really, really good. It's entertaining. It is exactly what you think it is when you see the poster and hear the name.
I
It
saw
is
the poster,
exactly that movie. So there's nothing to be disappointed about, because if you don't know what you're getting into watching this, why are you watching this movie?
Is it a quick 90 or is it a full 2 hours?
I think it's 90, 95. It's not a long, there's not a long draw.
It sounds like a fun, fast movie.
There is some plot stuff that happens with other characters that aren't Nick Cage, but it's very like point A, point B, point C. Oh, there's a twist, point C and a half, point D. Like there's no, like, you know how it's going to end. From the second the movie starts, you're like, I know how this is going to play out. And there's not nary a twist to be had, but it's just good fun. It is one of the highest budget B movies I've ever seen.
Not like Dungeons and Dragons?
Very similar, actually, right down to some of the stylistic stuff, but they lean into the fact that it's sort of a campy horror movie, so they
Fair.
don't pretend to be high art.
Is it
which
streaming
why I
on
love
something, or is it a rent to?
It's
thing?
rent. It's rent. It's pay-per-view, which I got it on Google Play Store has it up here. It's been floating around. There's a bunch of streamers in the States. It's on Google Play. It's like, I think $10, and it's worth it. Like, I'm not mad about it at all.
I'm gonna have to check this out. Watch it by
so
myself.
I just looked this up. It used to be Wally's Wonderland, and I guess they had to rename it.
Or
so
it's Willy's. Sorry, Willy's
Yeah.
Wonderland. Yeah.
I
Why
don't know
did
what
I have to
happened,
change it from
but-
Wally?
Oh, I bet because of Wally World.
Yes.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. And okay, random. Anyway,
Well, there's a lot of IP issues, because when the original script, they had to change like three or four of the animatronics. They had to rename and animal them because they were close to existing animatronics that exist in the world. So they're like, we don't want to get sued by anyone, so we're just gonna like completely
Chuck E.
redo.
Cheese just starts running at you.
Yeah, well, just or just between that and like fictionalized animatronic kids places, like it's just like there's like so many of those. Like, we're just gonna any hiccup they had, they're like, rename the character, redo it, rename it. It doesn't affect the story at all.
Nice. What's the it's what is it? Country Bears Jamboree? That's the Disney one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, let's move on. Oh wait, me. What am I liking this week? I've been playing this thing. You know what this is? This is a Stadia
Yeah.
controller. So this past week, we got our new. Oh, I guess it's been a couple weeks now. We've been hydrate. We got a redeem of hydrate, so I did it. I've been playing Little Nightmares because they gave it away for free.
Nice.
Because they also gave away Little Nightmares 2 for free. So I'm playing Little Nightmares 2 now, which just came out. So also both games really good. So yeah. Hey Bray Dollars, how's it going? We are doing good. I think I'm doing good. You guys?
Yeah. So good.
That's as good as we can be doing in quarantine. So let's move on to the news. There's not much news, but I'm gonna do a couple things. We already talked about BlizzCon, which was, not so exciting. Nintendo also had
BlizzCon
BlizzCon Line 1.
Yeah.
And then we had a Nintendo Direct, which announced a bunch of remakes and Splatoon 3 and Mario Golf, I think. Nothing too big there.
Mario Golf is fun though. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, they delved really deep into this is actually a golf game, guys. And I was like, this is not the thing you want to put in your Nintendo Direct.
That's great, but also Nintendo, so it's just Mario.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then what was the other news I was gonna talk about? Oh, yeah. The saddest news of today. Daft Punk broke up.
Not broke up, retired.
They retired.
Yeah.
They retired.
That's true. That's true.
For a long career.
They released an epilogue video, which is actually a clip from their 2006 movie, which I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's wonderful. It's a fitting goodbye to this duo. I assume they're gonna still do stuff. They've been producing music for the past number of years, like more so in the past couple of years.
But now they just have to not wear the helmets, so it's okay.
And then we're gonna look at them. We're gonna be like, put the helmets back on. No, it's fine. Any other good news?
No, this one
Go
made
for
me
it.
sad. I got to see them in 2007 for that for the tour. I know.
I was so sad I didn't get to go see.
I like Daft Punk. I got real salty with them when they tried to launch that alternative streaming site with everyone, and it just fell flat on its face. But
Tidal.
Yeah, like when they tried to make, like, I got a little salty with them after that. I'm like, nah, you guys are okay, but like, you're not hurting for money right now.
No.
Your fans are keeping you in LED helmets, so I think you're doing okay.
I want to make one of those one day. We're gonna get Marcus to make one of those LED helmets. Get it.
Just give him to 3D print it and pray it works out.
Exactly. All
Fill
right.
it with electronics. And
I didn't account for the
head
air
into the wall.
hole.
Damn, I'm supposed to breathe.
What'd you do about the freezing problem? It's an Iron Man 1 reference.
The icing.
I haven't seen Iron Man 1 in such a long time, which is a good segue. I should use that to go into
You're welcome.
our main topic tonight. But I was going to say, does anyone else have any news for anything else? Any other thing that's noticeable?
No, nothing noticeable. I can't remember. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I stumbled upon the casting for the live-action Little Mermaid movie for Disney because I was talking with my coworkers about how abysmal Mulan was.
Yeah, the live action one looks all right. The cast
They have David Diggs as Sebastian. I don't care about anything else in that movie.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
What's his name? Harry Shearer retired as Dr. Hibbert on The Simpsons. They're getting
Only as Dr. Hibbert? Oh, yes.
Because they instituted that whole
I was like, only the one character? That would be the character that he should retire. You're right.
Yeah. So Kevin Michael Richardson is going to play Dr. Hibbert moving forward.
Nice.
Which is a good swap. But let's move over to the live action. No, the main topic of tonight, which is WandaVision, the American miniseries. WandaVision. Yeah, it goes up, Hawk. It goes up at the end.
Not to be confused with Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Who's going to spin? I assume it would be Hawk. So this is the Disney Plus series that just premiered a couple of weeks ago, January 15th, and it's still running. We are at the 7th episode. Just went by.
Was it 7?
8 is this week.
We're going into 8 and 9.
8 and 9,
Right,
the
so
last
it's 9.
two.
No, right. I forgot they didn't do a round number. That's why it confused me.
So in this series,
It's
Elizabeth
a pretty
Olsen.
round number if you think about it.
Yeah.
More hexagonal.
Oh, we should talk about that. So this series stars Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany reprising their roles as Wanda Maximoff and Vision from the film series. We also get a number of other recurring characters, which we will talk about in the episode. So we're going to do a quick rundown of the first 7 episodes, like a quick summary, our reactions to it. I'm going to read the first one, and then we'll split it around. So episode 1 was called Film Before a Live Studio Audience. Newlywed couple Wanda and Vision move into a town of Westview in the 1950s setting, despite Vision being an android and Wanda having telekinesis and reality warping abilities. They attempt to blend in. Excuse me. One day they notice a heart drawn on the calendar, but neither can remember what the occasion is. While Vision goes to his job at Computational Services, Inc., Wanda decides that the heart represents their anniversary. Their neighbor, Agnes, introduces herself to Wanda and helps her prepare to celebrate that night. Vision amazes his coworkers with his speed, blah, blah, blah. And then he's reminded that he is actually hosting his boss for dinner that night. Hijinks ensues at night during the dinner, and Mr. Hark ends up choking on his food. Vision uses his actual abilities to save him. All this takes place in the fictional sitcom WandaVision, which someone is watching on a television. What did you guys think of the first episode? It was a lot. We didn't really know what we were getting, and then we saw that first episode, and we were just like,
I loved it. I thought it was everything I'd hoped it would be, because I was like, okay, I'm like, just the episode itself, I'm like, this is awesome. The commercial I popped for, because I'm like, yes, Stark Industries, this is awesome. And then we get that little taste of something else at the very end, and I was like, holy shit, okay, what is going on?
yeah, I didn't mention that each of these episodes has a commercial set in it. And the one during the first episode is for a toaster from Stark Industries called the Toastmate 2000 toaster oven. It's actually really cool. There's only, because it's a black and white, the only glimpse of color we got in this episode was the light in the toaster, which was really interesting. It was red.
And what color was that light?
Red. All right. Any other thoughts on the first episode? What did you guys think of it when you saw it?
I love where they decide to take this. I know people's complaints about it have been that it's slow and that they don't, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I just love that they threw themselves into the production values that they were aiming for, like with 50 styles, like you mentioned, and that they sought out the old lenses for the cameras and that.
We've mentioned that off screen. Yeah. So for each of the decades, they used the proper lenses, the proper lighting, including the proper light bulbs to light these scenes and shoot it as it was on at that time. They also used all the practical effects they would use at the time. So in the 50s, when we saw the plates moving around, it was all on wires. The only digital effect we saw in the first episode was when Vision broke the mold of the 1950s husband and used his actual powers.
Yeah, like he actually had to break character in that.
Yeah.
At that point, we didn't know what was going on. Why that moment? Why was this guy choking?
Well, that particular scene was so powerful, I think, because the way that particular era of TV, everything was so pleasant and happy, and everything was solved by the end of the episode with a good news kind of thing. But it got really uncomfortable and creepy when she kept saying, "Stop it, stop it."
Having Deborah Jo Rupp as the wife in that first episode was perfect.
So good.
Casting. Like, that.
Because they wanted to make the audience feel uncomfortable, and I think they did a good job. And they do that sort of throughout the series. There's little points of the episodes where there's just discomfort. Like, I know we're going to get to it, but there's a part, I think, in the third episode where I think I think it was the fourth, when they're in the 80s, and and she goes, should I start? Should I start again? Should I go back and start again? Yeah. And everyone's looking at each other. It's like, okay, they want to make it seem awkward.
I was going to read all of these synopses, but they're really long, so I'm just going to sum it up really fast.
Yeah, we can do the
Yeah. So any other final thoughts on the first episode? We'll move on because we'll get back to it, right?
I thought it was a great start point. I like the fact that when they launched the series, they launched the first two episodes simultaneously. So you should, like, again, people should have watched them back to back. They kind of would have got what was going on.
Yeah. So the second episode is called Don't Touch That Dial. It's set in the 60s, so we move forward at 10 years. And in this one, we get Wanda and Vision. They're sort of getting ready for this neighborhood talent show. And we find out that things aren't as they seem. Vision gets gum stuck in his gears, and hilarity ensues. Back in the day, like Bewitched would do one of those funny magic is drunk and weird episodes. And do that with this, and we find some key scenes in this is Wanda finding a toy helicopter which is red, and then that's the one part of color. And then by the end of it, we find out that they win this competition. It's for the children, and Wanda ends up becoming pregnant at the end. The commercial in this episode is for a watch by Strucker. What do you guys think of this episode?
There's a couple things that, again, we kind of skipped. There was also the instance where she was sitting in her radio and the radio seemed to start speaking to her. There's also, we can't ignore the beekeeper.
Beekeeper then, and Wanda rewinds time.
Yeah, where we actually see Wanda rewind time to go back to before they went outside the house and just ignore that had happened.
Fair.
We also got Emma Caulfield in this episode too,
and we know she's obviously Mephisto because she already played a demon in a previous series.
That checks out. That logic checks out.
I know. You heard it here first, folks. Right on.
It's
the
typecasting, though, is the shitty thing, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. She's just wonderful.
Play to your strengths.
But no, I really dug the episode. Excuse me. Like I said, I love the little nods, like the Strucker watches. As soon as I saw that, I lost my mind because it's the watch with the little Hydra symbol. Baron Strucker. Obviously, I was like, oh, that is a deep dive for those that remember that bit of the movie when they first showed up. Oh yeah, he was the bad guy. I also love the fact that we actually get to see at the end of the episode, after she does the time and she becomes pregnant, all of a sudden color gets introduced.
Oh,
It's kind of a Pleasantville kind of thing that happened there.
Yeah, it was literally when they switched from 70s to 60s to 70s, color got introduced. So it's like, oh snap, okay, so she's definitely playing with something here.
thanks for the follow, sad boy. And hey, Heel Hugs, he's in the chat. Hello.
Hello.
Oh snap, what the hell?
What? What else happened too that was really good? I love the animated parts. That it was so bewitched when they did that. Like, we haven't even talked about the theme songs, which we'll get to near the end of the.
I would watch. I would think I would watch an entire like animated show of WandaVision.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty awesome.
100%. All right, we move on to episode 3, now in color, set in the 70s. This is the episode where Wanda gives birth to her kids, and we meet we were introduced to a character named Geraldine in the last episode, and she becomes more important in the 70s. She actually ends up delivering the babies with Wanda, so we get Billy and Tommy, who are very important in the comics world. The commercial in this episode is for Hydra soak bath powder. What'd you guys think? This was one of my favorite episodes, purely because of the whole deal. Thanks for following wrestling. Oh, WrestlePunk. Yeah.
Punk, what's up, bud?
Yeah. So what was I saying? One of my favorite parts. I love the 70s aesthetic. I love the Brady Bunch. So seeing that and having them in when she was going through her contractions, her fake contractions, and like just shit started flying all over the place and electricity started going off. I thought that was hilarious.
What was it? What was the bird that she kept manifesting?
The stork.
Stork. Yeah.
The one she had painted onto the baby's bedroom wall.
Right, it was the stork that
suddenly
kept
got
showing
brought to
up.
life.
I like that she kept on trying to, magic it away, and it would just like shoo the red powder away. Oh, the red smoke. Hilarious.
But it's so cool the sets that they use, because each time that they change a decade, the house sort of reminds you of a house from a sitcom that we've seen before, right? Like I think when we get to the 80s especially, it looks just like the Full House.
100%.
Thanks for the follow, Target X. Yeah.
Is it not worrying that the number of things, like the number of products now are like, because at first it was like Stark Industries, like, okay, yeah, that's probably like Hydra, like Hydra stuff in the 60s. Is that not like worrying?
See, this is what got me too. I didn't even catch that right away with it, because they said it was, it's new Hydra soak bath powder. I'm like, oh, Hydra water. Like I heard Hydro soak.
Yeah.
So I didn't even include me the first time I watched it, and I was like, oh, it's Hydra. That's funny.
Yeah. No, the commercials are really cool. There's so many theories about them being like different Infinity Stones or stuff like that, which we will get to. Any other things about the pregnancy episode other than the hilarity?
I mean, the fact that there was the reveal that Geraldine was affiliated with Sword, which we'd seen a lot of sword imagery in the first one. There was the notebook in the reality. In the second one, there was the helicopter and the beekeeper. And now this with Geraldine with the sword pendant, and then her getting ultimately ejected and landing around a bunch of sword vehicles. So Sword is involved somewhere here, but we know nothing.
It's funny
about
because
it.
we were talking about how they were talking about Sword, but we hadn't really seen it. And then when she gets ejected right outside of the town, and we see like that ET-esque like helicopters and soldiers and scientists all running up to Geraldine. So awesome. I think, Matt Moore, you need to jump into the chat because you got a fan following in there.
I gotta see. I can't.
Oh yeah, you got. Thanks for all the follows, guys. We got Lady Baby Girl saying,
Dang, we got
KG.
raided.
It's Matt. Yeah. There's a lot.
Dad, Jesus.
You are Coldplay's dad.
Oh, it's Target. Oh, Lady Red. Who else we got? Deshaun.
Heel Iceman.
Iceman. Demented. Oh man, Smitty's session.
Yeah,
I don't know who. I'm sure I know who Fat Kid 1391 is. I don't know who it is on this though.
And the bits.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
cheers. Yeah.
Oh, it's Eddie. Nice, Eddie.
All right, let's move on to episode 4. We just have to keep on reading. Matt, you take care of chat.
I'll keep following
It's
that.
You,
I'll
you
follow
go
that.
chat. Episode 4 is when we actually move over to the real world. We find out what happened leading up to the events that we had just seen on the TV show. Sword is the sort of like Shield, but with sentient weapons.
Now remember that episode starts with the blip, right?
Yeah,
When
yes.
Darcy comes
I
back.
was gonna get there. So we find out that so like Michael said, we start off with the blip, and we see it was played for humor when we saw the blip happen in Spider-Man: Far From Home, but in this one we see like sort of the terror that happens because Monica Rambeau returns in a hospital where there's so much chaos because people don't know what's happening, and it's such an amazing thing. We find out that her mother had died while she was away in the blip, which is sort of sad. It's very sad. She ends up returning to Sword and going back on duty, where she meets Agent Wu, who we met from the Ant-Man series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the them trying to figure out what happened going into this just giant shield around this city in New Jersey that people don't know is there. There's some sort of amnesia. And then she gets sucked in, so Sword calls in all these scientists, and we see Darcy from the Thor movies teaming up with Agent Wu to figure out what's happening, and they find out that there's certain waves that are causing this television's frequency.
CMBR, I believe they called it.
Yeah,
Cosmic microwave background radiation from the Big Bang.
Yeah. But there were also waves on top of that, right? It was extended, and that's where the television signals were coming from. And they ended up watching. They see that Monica gets ejected, and I'm pretty sure that's how it ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on this episode?
I love the opening and that, again, going back to the blip and that, how it's like, it was played for humor in Spider-Man Homecoming and that. And this is like, actually seeing one of the people in that who is actually reassembled by the blip and that, like particle by particle and consciousness by consciousness, as we're hearing all the dialogue from Captain Marvel and that being kind of replaced in her head.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Just seeing the chaos was wonderful. I thought.
Yeah,
that
it was.
really
It was actually really cool to see just people reforming as the world came back. And again, it was seeing real world repercussions from the blip, which we had not really like. We'd seen sort of the after effects. We'd never seen literal people reforming in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Especially
Sorry, David, you're saying.
especially in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
I think this was my favorite episode, actually, just because we got to see the most of what happens on the ground level in the Marvel universe. Like still wasn't a lot, but it was enough because of how big a deal something like that would be. Where like in Avengers, it was like it just happens and you don't really see anything. You just see like the hero show up, which is obviously awesome. But in Far From Home, it's all played for jokes, and in this, it's like there's real damage happening to people's lives when this thing happens.
Yeah, even when we're listening to acting director Tyler Hayward, when he talks about how all these things were implemented because of the blip, we know that Monaco should have been the director. That's obvious, right? But with her being gone, he ended up becoming the douchebag in charge. Any other thoughts on this episode? We'll move on.
Bit of trivia.
Go for it.
I don't know if I mentioned it on a previous podcast, but Randall Park, the card trick.
Yes.
Learned it that day from a magician. Yeah, from a magician they brought onto set and had to train him to do it.
We didn't mention this earlier, but each of the episodes has a specific aspect ratio, and for whenever they're in the real life, they get the cinematic ratio that the movies are in. Like we'll see later when we get to the 2000 and 2010s, they do the widescreen, but it's the full widescreen, not the cinematic widescreen.
I have a comment just about the overall distribution strategy of Disney Plus, and the fact that before this episode came out, right, we had talked about how Monica came flying through the barrier and she was lying there, and like that created so much hype. I remember talking to so many people about that. What do you think this means? And they, instead of doing like the Netflix model where they just put it all out, like put all 10 episodes out and you can binge them, they created so much of this. You have to watch it. You have to talk to your friends about it. You have to build up the hype. It's brilliant. And there hasn't been a single episode. I mean, 1 and 2, we were like, oh, this is interesting. I'm kind of curious about where it's going to go. But from this point forward, every single episode ends on a point where you want to run and call somebody and tell them every one of your theories. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is like, and we're getting weeks and weeks of Marvel now. Like since WandaVision started, we're gonna get the making of, and then we're gonna get a movie, and then we're gonna get the next series. Oh no, wait, then we're gonna get the next series, then we're gonna get a movie, then we're gonna get another series. And it's just like constant Marvel now, and we need that because
It's
we need it.
We've all earned it. We've been through a lot. We've earned this Marvel.
Damn straight.
yeah.
Thank you, Marvel.
Like 2020 was our basically our blip.
Yeah.
No Marvel for an entire year, and then all of a sudden, bam, we're back in the game.
All right, and we move on to episode 5, which is the 1980s, the Full House Growing Pains-esque episode, and
Family Ties. Don't
Family
forget
Ties. Sorry, Family
Ties,
Ties.
man.
My bad.
I was
It
hoping
looks like
we'd
the
get a
Family
Who's
Ties.
the Boss.
We didn't really get a Who's the Boss. The Family Ties. It looked like the set from Family Ties, which was really creepy and weird and awesome. Does someone want to? I'll take it. 1980s. This is when we find out that the kids start aging. So they aged up to 5, and then they get a dog, and then the dog. No, wait. Then they age up to 10 because they're not old enough.
Because they weren't old enough at 5, so they age up to 10.
Yeah, so they age themselves up, which is great. Then hilarity ensues. The kids go around. We don't know where Vision is. He ends up. Where did Vision go?
This was the Halloween episode, yeah?
No, Halloween's the next one.
No, right.
The one right before.
This is the one where he went to work and his coworker freaked out, right?
Yeah, he releases his mind, and he finds out that
Didn't he also see the email?
he saw the email. That's why he
Yes.
did the brain thing. And he finds out that there are people actually under, like personalities under, and they're being kept under by someone. And Tommy and Billy, they end up losing their dog, and Agnes finds it dead. Sort of like
It ate some poisonous bushes.
it ate some poisonous bushes,
Poor
and they try and get Wanda to bring the dog back. They're like, you can bring people back to life, and she's like, you shouldn't do that, and I don't think I can do it. And
Womp womp.
and then the end of the episode, Wanda and Vision fight because Vision wants her to explain what's happening because he doesn't know what's really happening. He doesn't really remember anything before being in Westview.
Oh, is that where she tried to roll credits?
Yeah, that's where she rolls credits.
Hey, now, was it this episode or the next one where they actually had for lack of a better term, they had the vampire fighting sense where they both started levitating at each other?
That was this one.
That was this one, yeah.
That shot I loved. It's like, what is going on? I'm like, why are you having an 80s vampire fight?
Yes, exactly. So they start fighting, and then the doorbell. Wanda says that she doesn't know what's happening and she doesn't know how it all started, which is really important. Then the doorbell rings, and we find out that Pietro is back, her brother, who had died in Age of Ultron. But it's not the Pietro of the MCU. It's the Pietro of the Fox. The Fox X-Men films,
X universe.
which is just
She recast Pietro.
which is just incredible. Thoughts on this episode?
I
sorry, go ahead.
audibly screamed when that happened. I literally almost flipped a table over because I was losing my mind.
Yep.
I know. This one, like, because I don't think we've really kind of clarified up to this point that we realize that Wanda has been in control of everything at this point. We don't know why she's doing it, but we do know that she is the one responsible, and
We think, at least.
All signs have pointed to she is in complete control of this universe. Because then, when she lost the concentration, when she was having contractions, is when things started to go weird because she couldn't concentrate.
Yeah. And that argument with Vision, she keeps trying to deflect it. You think I'm in control of everybody, getting everybody to dentist appointments and dog walking.
Where are the children? There are no children around. Yeah.
I love Darcy so much as these episodes
So
go
funny.
on. Like just her watching the episodes and making comments and stuff while she's eating popcorn.
X-Files. Let's get it done.
Yes. Yeah, Darcy and Wu needs to be the next series that they do.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
even care what it is.
ongoing series.
Just
Not
call
even-
it Darcy and Woo. That's a great name, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can make it happen. I mean, we were able to get the Strange New Worlds in Star Trek, right? Because enough fans wanted it. Right?
Let's do it. We'll start a
Captain Pike
petition.
show. So let's
That's how it
get
does.
this
That's how it
going.
works,
Yeah.
right?
There are dozens of us.
I think it's a pretty universal feeling that there needs to be a Darcy and Wu spin-off.
Street,
Like just them investigating weird Marvel occurrences.
That'd be amazing. I didn't mention that last episode did not have a commercial because it was set in the real world. This one does have a commercial, and it's for Lagos paper towels for when you need to,
clean up those
messes. That was a deep cut.
I mean, that would right there tell you that like Wanda's not in control of these commercials, right? Because she's not going to bring that up.
No,
But other people could.
This seemed more like this commercial seemed to directly tie into her subconscious and guilt. And that. So like it kind of leads me to believe all these commercials have something to do with emotional pain and that and trauma.
Oh, for sure.
Well, on the subconscious level.
If you think kind of going through the whole thing, even the commercials have all had ties to Wanda.
Yeah.
Because there was the Stark stuff, which is what caused a lot of their pain. Strucker and Hydra, which is how she got her powers. Lagos, like it's all tying in
order.
Yeah, and chronologically, what's been going on. So, I mean, it all kind of is telling a story in a very interesting way.
For sure.
And one of the running theories right now is that the man and woman that we see in those commercials are actually her parents.
Magneto?
Right.
Yes, Magneto.
Not till the movie.
Different universe.
Yeah.
Is it?
Could be.
Does someone want to do the Halloween special? Because I got to go bathroom.
Okay, you guys summarize it, and then I'll just go off about how great it was.
I'll just read this super fast. This is episode 6, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Number
Called All New Halloween Spooktacular. In a late 1990s, early 2000s setting, Wanda wants to send Tommy and Billy's first Halloween together as a family, but Vision tells her that he's going to patrol the streets with the neighborhood watch, but actually he's lying. Pietro offers to step in as the father figure and takes the boys trick-or-treating, causing mischief with his super speed, which Tommy is revealed to have inherited. Which, how do you inherit something from your uncle?
Family genetics.
Meanwhile, Vision explores further away from the house and finds residents of Westview standing frozen in their positions, including Agnes. Vision speaks Agnes' real self, and she tells him that he is dead. Outside Westview, Hayward orders Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy to leave the base for disagreeing with his decision to attack Wanda, but they sneak inside. They hack into his computer and discover that he has been tracing Vision's vibranium signature. Vision tries to push through the static wall, but he begins to disintegrate. Billy senses this and tells Wanda, who expands the hexagonal static wall, which at this point I think they're calling the Hex. I think this is the episode that they call it the Hex.
It's catching on.
Vision, Darcy, and several SWORD agents are enveloped by the new boundary.
I never thought we would ever get Wanda, Vision, Pietro, Tommy, and Billy to actually wear their comic book costumes on screen in a way that didn't look stupid. And by God, as soon as they said it's a Halloween episode, I'm like, oh, they're going to have all of them in costume. And I was like, I thought they would do Wanda and Vision, obviously, because we'd seen the Wanda thing, so we knew it was coming. But the fact that we got Pietro to do the OG Quicksilver, the fact that we got Tommy and Billy to do their
new Avengers. Oh my God, it was so good.
Which again, I was like, that is brilliant.
They even did the wingtips for Quicksilver.
Yeah,
like, really.
Yeah. Like they translated it directly into reality. It as goofy as it was going to look, because that's how it would look in reality if someone's hair was styled that way.
I was wondering which version of Vision they were going to do, because my favorite is the full white Vision.
Yeah, that was always he was also the really OP Vision though. Like that Vision was like just basically God mode all the time.
He was the one I grew up with, so there's that little bit in my heart. But the green and having him be a Mexican wrestler, hilarious.
That was the greatest explanation for what he was gonna how they explained what he was doing. It's like, but I know you love the Mexican. Just hearing Paul Bettany say Mexican wrestler made me smile.
What else did you guys mention when I was gone?
We literally just
I just read the
summary.
word. Yeah. You can talk about the commercial. I didn't talk about the commercial.
Oh yeah, the commercial was a claymation set one, sort of like those old. What were they? Those not Sunny D's. They were Go-Gurt.
There was a lot of Saturday morning cartoon commercials.
Yeah, the claymation ones from the 90s. And it was a Yo Magic yogurt. Yes. So this one was so creepy and so wonderfully done. Yeah. It was dark. It was nice that the character couldn't get to the magic in time before he died. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Or stopped. Like they couldn't. It was being stopped.
It would never open. That was the thing. He would always have the yogurt that he would never be able to open.
Doug Dimmadomes. Stranded on it.
This is supposed to represent that she can't save Vision, right?
or magic has been such a like.
It's a monkey's paw kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like there's always a catch. There's a
bad.
catch.
Yeah.
Again, this one genuinely confused me. I didn't know what was supposed to be addressing. I knew it had to relate to Vision and that after like
this is the one where I know we're going to get into theories on this, but this is the one where people first started having theories as to who the actual villain of the piece was, because that sort of manifestation of what someone wants but with a twist is linked very heavily to a Marvel character that we have not seen yet, which we'll get to when we start talking theories. But this was the first time where people were like, that's the big flag that this might involve this one of these characters.
Other important things in this episode is the whole scene with Agnes in the car, and like Vision's in that cul-de-sac there, and people are stuck because they're not. I guess the power hasn't. She's not controlling them.
She was trying to leave, and then she got out of the range. And
I was talking about the regular people that were around. That couldn't move.
It's like it seems like her power has some sort of a range.
Like a range.
Well, I think she was still controlling them, but they didn't have to do motions because the main action wasn't over there.
Yeah, that's the thing. They were just always in place for if they showed up in that area, they would start moving. But as soon as she got far enough away, they were just in stasis.
That one lady that was crying.
Oh, yeah, she had the tear coming down her face.
Oh, brutal. That was so good.
I know. So basically, Vision wandered backstage.
What did you think of the scene with Agnes in the car?
That was that was one of those. I'm like, because we had just seen it with his coworker. We're like, oh shit, like this is Agnes, who's like a main player, and she's still in the same situation as everyone else.
And I remember when this happened, and people. Like we had a lot of people that I had been talking to were like, well, she's obviously Agatha Harkness, right? And then this is the scene where people were like, I don't know if it's her because she went normal at that point.
See, it wasn't Agatha Harkness that I ever thought she was. I thought she was Auntie-A because she called herself Auntie-A.
Yeah.
Which is a different character. I love the silence. You're like, oh shit, I thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm now thinking of stuff. Anyway, yes. So sorry. Any other thoughts on this scene? So
there was also good. There was the cool scene where Vision was walking through, like he went through the barrier, and then it was tearing him back into the hex, and he yells out to Darcy. He's like, "Help them," and
Yeah.
And so you sort of get this sense that Vision is stuck in there. Like he can't exist outside of it, right? That's our first sort of glimpse to see that, right?
Well, no, because it just leaves a vibranium husk behind in that wall. The reality that this magic has shaped in that to bring him alive just gets pulled back into the hex.
Well, and that was the thing too, is I remember, I don't know if it was this episode or the previous one where we had seen her breaking in to steal his body.
Yeah.
His body was in pieces in that lab. And if you looked at the parts that were ripping away were the pieces that were missing.
Yeah.
That like it basically was like the hex was pulling back everything it had used to fill him in. So it was just going to leave what was actually left.
So and that was part of what Sword was actually working on. Like in one of the earlier episodes, he says that they were starting to work on AI and they're starting to work on weapons, sentient weapons. And really you find out that she broke into a Sword facility to get Vision because they were working on Vision.
Yeah. And broke into it with minimal effort too from the video footage. It's like, oh, that's not good.
Wasn't Auntie-A Agatha? I'm pretty sure they're the same character.
Are they the same character? They might be.
I'm pretty sure. She's the one. Auntie-A's the one who raised Wanda. That's Agatha.
I'm not refuting that. I need to check because I might have gotten my brain.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they're the same character. That's why you sort of threw me. I was like,
quite likely.
Are they the same? Yeah, sorry. They were talking about cataract, right? The cataract program, which Darcy had uncovered. And I think, at least at this point, we're pretty sure that's what Vision is, right? He's some sort of living weapon that they're trying to develop against his living will, which they actually mentioned in this episode as well. All right, we're gonna move on to the most recent episode 7. We hit the mid to late 2000s, the Modern Family Happy Endings episode called Breaking the Fourth Wall. This one we have Wanda sort of going through this staycation thing where she's sort of trying to come to terms with what has happened so far in the series. So she lets Agnes take the kids away so that she can work on herself. Vision, on the other hand, so I know phrasing.
No, it was just, I was gonna say it was such a brilliant like Modern Family
She,
cold open. It was like perfectly done.
the mom in Modern Family, like she perfectly was like her on there. Anyway, Vision, on the other hand, has teamed up with Darcy, who was stuck in the hexagon, and they're trying to make their way back to the house, but are being delayed because of reasons. We don't know why. Maybe Wanda. That's what people are thinking. On the outside world, we have our trio of heroes, Monica, Jimmy, not trio, our duo, trying to get back into the hex, and we see Monica actually push her way through the barrier. We hadn't mentioned earlier, but her cells had changed, having gone through the barrier twice, like at a molecular level, and the third one would actually really, really change her. And we see her getting supercharged. There's this beautiful sequence where she's going through the barrier, and we hear different scenes from Captain Marvel. And it's her sort of growing up and her being a hero, and them talking about how Auntie Carol is a hero and how she needs to glow before she can meet her, which is really interesting. And she comes through, lands into the Modern Family world, does a 3-point stance, and sees the world in a different way. Oh man, she ends up going to the house where Wanda is and confronts her, and they do this sort of standoff where they fight, and we see that Monica is super powered. So wonderful. I didn't dab. Sorry.
I did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I should do it too.
I'm on it. You should.
Yeah.
You actually get the same pings I do, so you should
Exactly.
be doing it.
My dab
So
sucks.
she's Photon now, right?
Or that's her mom's.
Don't know.
She might be. She had a couple different names.
She
in the comic.
has something about to happen with her. We don't know what exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spectrum was the other one, right?
Spectrum
Yeah,
and
there
Captain
really is.
Marvel.
That would make sense because she could see.
I'd put more
different
bank
parts
on
of the
Spectrum than I would on anything else.
I hope it's Photon, just because it's her mom's call sign.
They could also be they could do a hybrid, like original thing for this because they can.
Yeah.
Or
it's
maybe
Marvel.
no nickname at all because, no clever nickname.
No, maybe. That's funny. So they stand off, and Agnes ends up pulling away Wanda to go to her house. Wanda ends up looking for the kids because, her twins are there, and she's like, where are they? And Agnes says, go to the basement where the
they're
kids are
in
playing.
the basement.
And we find out that Agatha has her own little creepy room that has
Like
so
vines
many
growing on the walls
Vines
and
growing on
shit.
the wall. There's so much imagery. There's a tomb
Demonic signs and things.
that's glowing red. And then Agatha comes down and says, you think you're the only person with magic? Glad to meet you. Finally meet you. My name is Agatha Harkness.
Because it was Agatha.
And then we get the best song ever, which shows
God.
Agatha actually pulling the strings of this whole series.
Yeah.
So
I even killed Sparky too.
that was a great thing. Mad props to who are they?
Catherine
the
Hahn.
creators.
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn for playing Agatha, but I was going to say Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, who were the
Yep.
duo that created all the theme songs for this series. They're the two that created Frozen, and Robert Lopez created Avenue Q and what was the other one? What was
said
the
Book
other
of
one?
Mormon.
Book of Mormon. Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
Just brilliant. They had a really good interview on Q not too long ago where they talked about how it was nice writing songs that didn't have to really influence a show like doing a musical. So they had a lot of blasts. Like
They can just write songs that are kind of fun and silly that don't have any significant plot driving purposes.
except for Agnes, I guess.
Yeah, and also to explore different styles and modes from their television shows growing up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this episode, a lot happened, guys. This is
We left out the most important part. Snooper's gonna snoop.
yeah. This is the first one because this has happened in the 2010s. 2010s, 2000s.
The 2000s.
Yeah, 2000s. When mid-credit stuff started happening, so they added one into the credits, which is amazing. That was a good callback to their own thing.
With Monica showing up at the house and opening the basement and about to go down right before Pietro. I don't know if he knocked her out, but he definitely confronted her and said, "Snooper's gonna snoop."
Yeah, And he's
And the last
wearing
we'd seen of him, he'd gotten blasted across the town square by
Wanda. Yep. Oh man. So much to unpack. What did you guys think? This episode's one of my favorites. So
Exciting.
Yeah. It also, the one thing I love, it also kind of follows a trend that happened, especially in the thousands, where usually one of the last few episodes is typically where there's the big plot reveal of the story, and then the penultimate episode is always the big like battle episode, and then you have the recap at the end. So they're following the trend, like even just in the long game, they were following the trends of television.
yeah, no,
They get the thousands where it's like, we have to give that tease, but we're not going to, it's building. And then it's like, here's the big reveal.
it's so crazy how meticulous the creators of the show are, right? Like just everything that they've done to make it authentic. It's the Marvel way. Like that's,
I mean, it's amazing to see a product where the people that are running it actually give a shit about the story and put the time and the legwork and effort into it, to the point where this series is kind of doing what the comics do, where like they're paying attention to continuities and making sure everything makes sense in a way that people don't usually do with franchises.
Yeah. And the fact that they've taken their time and they've just really wanted to set things up, have a deep evolving mystery in that, and it's like realize you don't have to give everybody everything at once, and that
Exactly.
there's something I was wondering. I don't know if you guys thought about this, but so we see Monica power up. She's purple. Her eyes become purple. And we know that Wanda has red for her powers because she was influenced by the reality stone, right?
I thought Monica's eyes were blue. I thought Monica's eyes were more of a blue.
Well, I thought it was purple.
It was a bluish purple, but it was like that sort of in between, almost like ultraviolet type color.
Interesting.
Because
we'll have to
that's the and then her vision is she can see into the other parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. So that would make sense if her character was Spectrum before, or in the comics or whatever.
So if it was blue, it'd be the
heard that
stone?
because blue is just actually blue isn't even. No, it's indigo or whatever, right? Like
yeah, but sorry, where I was going was this: is that we seem that there are these characters are based on the different
like colors of the stones.
The different stones. So we have Wanda with her reality changing stuff from the reality stone. We have Captain Marvel's power coming from the space stone, and then we have Agatha and Monica, blue and purple. Do we think they're part of these stones type power? Is that a thing that they're trying to do?
I think that's becoming a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Aren't we done with the stones at this point? Like, isn't that kind of the big deal because they're gone?
Like a great example is that logic would work. But if you remember, Doctor Strange's magic was fueled by the time stone, which was green, and his stuff was orange. So I think the color coding,
although
it doesn't really.
Whenever he did time stuff, it did turn green.
When it was timed specifically, but you know what I mean? Like it's the same kind of thing where I don't think the colors, and I could be wrong because again, like they're usually very particular. If they're using colors for stuff, there's a reason. But I don't think that it's necessarily linked in with the stones at this point.
Yeah. Interesting.
More like the aftershock of the stones, and that the stones have already changed like the continuity and the reality of the universe and that, and it's like these are kind of the aftershocks of it.
I mean, there's a possibility that when Thanos destroyed the stones, that radiation kicks out because the stones are from before the start of the universe, right? That's the whole deal. So that kicks out all this because they knew that the stones had been used. They could read that in Infinity or Endgame. So like they can probably read all this stuff. Like we know they have the technology. So it's quite possible that they can still find ways to maybe mimic.
And we wonder I wonder if they actually have been destroyed, right? Or like because they were put back in their times. Like maybe they're just in different. Maybe they're like Dragon Balls and they're somewhere else.
But here's the thing: if we're gonna take a sideways step into that, I mean, yes, I mean in different multiverse they may exist. I think in this particular universe, they were all returned to the time they came from, but there was that definitive point where Thanos destroyed them, where they in that timeline ceased to exist. The fact that they went back and retrieved them from different times but put them back means that they still exist in their proper time continuity, but there is that one point where they do not exist anymore.
Interesting.
And all that energy just would have dissipated out.
There's really nothing stopping any potential villain at this point from using either the same technology or using their own magic or whatever to go back in time or to go to different alternate timelines.
If only there was a series involving a character that was going to jump through time coming up.
Or space and time. Weird.
Or
There
we've
was something
literally seen Doctor Strange go to another dimension,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
to a place where there is no time.
The Dolly verse. There was a commercial we didn't mention. It was in episode 7, and it was for Nexus antidepressants. What did you guys think?
That was this one, yeah.
What did you think about this, especially with Wanda being a Nexus character in the Marvel comics?
Oh, okay, so I actually had to look this up because I didn't know what Nexus characters were. So maybe you guys can clarify it for me. Does it mean that they aren't affected by changes in dimension and reality?
Yeah, so pretty much they're the same in every iteration of a universe.
Like, no matter what happens in every different universe dimension, that character's arc stays the same. It's just a consistent line through time.
Okay.
And this being a antidepressant commercial, and that it was kind of forcing her to accept her truth and the truth of her reality, and that no matter how much she wanted to, things aren't going to change for
Things
her.
will never change. Yeah, things are not going to change for her.
These commercials are so fucking good.
That's why I thought the last one was about her not being able to save Vision.
Yeah, which also was very accurate.
It was
too.
a futile effort, and she had to kill him, right? Yeah. And then they even talk about that in
they
this
did,
episode, right?
It's like
they bring up the fact that she killed him, and then Thanos rewinds time. Like Darcy tells Vision that in the truck.
She had to kill you,
Yeah.
and then Thanos rewound time, and she watched you die again.
Yeah,
And it was just mere weeks ago, which is even crazier to think that it not that much time is
for him. Yeah,
for all of them, right?
Right, because she got wiped. I forgot that she was. Wait, did she get?
Yeah, she
did.
She was.
Yeah.
So
she for her it would have been like would have just happened.
Man, this show.
There is one theory I wanted to bring up. We haven't talked about the book in the Agatha's cellar yet.
Go for
Not
it.
yet.
So, we've seen the Darkhold on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's right, yeah.
And people are saying maybe this is the MCU's version of it, and I hope not.
I hope not, because I would really love to see Gabriel Luna show up as Ghost Rider in one of these shows at some point, because he was awesome.
Oh, speaking of, we didn't mention this in the news, but Daredevil, Punisher, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones have all gone back to Marvel now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timeline's all up on those, so they're now all Marvel properties again.
Yeah.
Well, they're full Marvel property now. They're not, not co-pro shared.
Under the Disney banner. Yeah.
Yes.
Smith Stepson says Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider only.
No, Gabriel Luna's Ghost Rider is actually amazing.
His Ghost Rider was actually pretty good. That was the last time I watched it.
We'll split the difference and we'll recast it as with Diego Luna.
He needs work.
Does he?
Yeah, sure.
There's probably some downtime he doesn't want.
Diego Luna.
What else did you guys want to talk? We didn't finish the Tomb talk.
Yeah, I talked about the book and that. So there was a theory going around that it might have something to do with the books of with the book of Cagliosa and that in Strange's library and that.
Yeah.
Apparently, somebody noticed that one of the books was missing from the racks and the racks were actually hexagonal shaped.
I mean, weren't all of the sanctums like messed up as well in Endgame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent 5 years with basically a diminished complement to protect them. So
yeah. Well, there was no Sorcerer Supreme,
and there was literally a hole in the New York one because of the Mark Ruffalo falling through the roof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was, and this is when Wanda first walked into that chamber in the basement. Mm-hmm. You see at the top of each column there was all those different glyphs.
Yeah.
One of them was the Eye of Agamotto.
Was it? I didn't notice that one.
I went back and actually watched and kind of went through, and one of them, from what you could see without being able to zoom in on clarity, it had all these signatures of the Eye of Agamotto, as well as the rest of them. So there's a lot of speculation as to, well, not speculation, I mean, if she's a magic user, there's some tie to
some sort
that
of
community, obviously.
Well, let's talk about Agatha herself. What did you guys think of this reveal? What did you think of that character? I think, like, having her become sort of this, I don't even know if we can say she's the villain. She has been pulling the strings, but we don't know if she's a villain.
It's weird to reveal yourself as the bad guy in the 2 episodes before it ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to reveal yourself like, hey, I also do magic. Like, what is she hoping she's gonna get out of just being like revealing all this stuff?
Well, I think it's gonna go. It goes to. I mean, we'd already seen that there was something weird with her because there was the episode where there was the mess up, and she's like, do we want me to go back? Do you want me to start over? Like, she broke character to restart the scene.
Yeah.
Wanda was like, looked confused as hell. And that was one of those, again, we thought, like, oh, is it a glitch? But
it's just her messing with her, right?
Before we continue, I want to, for our audio listeners, we are going to go into some theories that may spoil the rest of the season. Having been avid comic book, I doubt we're going to be right, but sometimes we're right. You never know.
You never know.
A stop clock. Yeah.
Especially with Agatha being such a important character in Wanda's history, and a lot has happened with her already. Auntie A. Matt, that's for you. But yeah, that was your warning. We're going to continue. Sorry, Matt Moore.
That's okay. That's cool. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Agatha and how her influence over what has happened so far.
So yeah, the fact they did that little jingle with the massive reveal of the fact that she's been like every point where she'd been affecting something, which all tracked, even the bit where like we thought that Vision had unlocked her mind. And like it shows the part where he's talking. And again, like I watched that and I went back and watched the previous episode. When Vision kind of looks away and looks out, it cuts away from her face. So you can't actually see her in the car. So
there's a lot of deception going on.
Yeah.
So like they made a point of like they were hiding a lot of stuff, not necessarily in plain sight, but they were hiding stuff so you couldn't see it, but you wouldn't think to look for it. And then finding out that, you know, she's been manipulating things from the go, which I kind of figured because I knew there was something up with the fact.
I had heard, we'd heard so much about Agatha through like, spoilers and that. Yeah.
And you don't cast Catherine Hahn in a non-important character role, right? Like,
well, but they did Emma Caulfield, and she hasn't, like, she's been there, but she hasn't been like a major.
But she's not as big as Catherine Hahn, right?
Well, for fans, I mean, like it's the same kind of genre thing where fans are going to be like, holy shit, it's her.
Yeah, for sure.
But I kind of feel the same way that Matt was saying that they're, you know, basically Wanda's been been deceived through most of this, and the characters have been deceived. And I feel like us as an audience are being deceived too, because we weren't being shown what Agatha was doing until this point. But I think they made such a big deal that it was Agatha all along that they're trying to hide what we're going to find out in the next 2 episodes.
I mean, it doesn't even fit the aesthetic, right? Because it's like it's like a jingle, and you're like, that's not something we had. Like, this is the 2010s essentially episode.
Yeah,
and
or the 2000s, and it's like that's not something.
And they went back to 1960s-esque jingle.
Very,
it was very much a look over here, look at me, look over here.
And Bewitched always had those magic characters that were not bad, but they were always influencing things, right? So I wonder if they're gonna.
Well, that aligns very heavily with.
I guess she's not a villain in the comics.
She's just not a particularly nice.
Yeah, she's a great character, right?
She's very, very well. I mean, yeah, she started as
she's a Treebeard.
Just not the most trustworthy, but she ultimately had Wanda's best interest at heart, at least in the comics. And then what she went on to do after she worked with Wanda is what caught my attention way more, the fact that she was involved in this.
Do we want to take a pin to Agatha and move on to someone who I think is a little bit more villainous?
Yes.
So the MCU is doing this really interesting thing with Hayward. This is a character who's the head of S.W.O.R.D. And it's definitely a villain, as we've seen so far, but it's a new type of villain that we've seen in the MCU because it's someone who is being created because of this post-traumatic stress caused by the blip. And I feel like this is a really important thing that they've started in this series, is that people are really affected by what has happened and what they've gone through when those people have disappeared and then come back. And I think that's going to be an important theme moving forward. What are your thoughts on Hayward as a character?
There's more to him than what, I mean, we know that there's chicanery afoot. We know that he definitely wants Vision's body back.
Yeah,
they're definitely doing something with it.
Well, he wants it to work. Right? Like, that's pretty obvious. Like, he wants a living weapon that works.
Yeah, but that then begs, like, why? Like, what is... Because, again, it's one of those... It's S.W.O.R.D. And, I mean, even in the comics, S.W.O.R.D. has always been far more clandestine and direct in its approach. They're not about the working from the shadows. They're more about we're solving problems before they become problems. So then it becomes, what's the problem that they're trying to solve by making sure Vision functions?
Yeah. Yeah, is this
And
sword?
why are they willing to piss off Wanda to have that happen?
What's more, like, I also interesting is the sword that's here, and what happens with sword in space with Fury. Is that still sword, or is that a different thing? Like, we all assumed that Fury was heading up sword with, or not heading up, but part of sword with all those Skrulls in space.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, like
I know there's a lot happening.
What if Hayward's a Skrull?
it's true. He could be, right?
Yeah.
We actually, that's the thing. We don't know who could be a Skrull at this point. Like, we literally don't know until it's going to be too late.
And there's a Secret Invasion series coming.
That's also
Right.
true.
This Marvel's so good right now.
I know.
Always, not right now, but they're always good.
Right now.
I was going to say that I think this is a natural thing. Like, you say that, like, they're just kind of people are reacting essentially to the blip. Like, these are the natural consequences, sort of thing. That's something Marvel has done the whole time, though. Like, everything was like Iron Man's fault, basically, right? Like, all this stuff was Iron Man's fault, and that's what Marvel's been doing from the start. So I don't think it's weird for them. I think this is just going to be the ongoing, like, the end game. Everything that happened in Endgame is going to be the genesis for all the problems that happen in the Marvel universe, because it's still all Iron Man's fault.
Sorry, let's take that pin back out, Matt Moore, and go back. Continue on your Agatha.
Agatha. I think we kind of covered everything about her, unless you want me to deep dive.
We were going to talk about theories about why she may have taken the kids and stuff like that. Why she revealed
the thing
herself
is,
to
we don't
Wanda.
know that she's taken the kids. We just know that the kids weren't in the TV room, and she said, "Oh, they're probably playing in the basement," because she clearly wanted to go into the basement.
Yeah.
So
Well, then there's also the thing where she said, "Oh, I've bitten a kid once." Like, there's this whole idea where she, as a witch, she would consume children,
Hansel and Gretel type thing, right?
that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued to see if they age her. If all of a sudden she's going to drop the facade and she's actually significantly older than
I hope not.
Years. I hope not too. I'd rather her stay the age she is. But I mean, we have no idea who she's aligned with, because there's been a lot of Hydra related stuff in this. She could be it could be a Hydra agent. She could have a completely different tie. I have a couple theories as to where this could be going.
She there were dates that she had mentioned, and they were to the Salem witch trials, which in the comics she was actually part of.
Yes.
So there's stuff like that. We know in the comics that she had influenced Wanda to create Billy and Tommy.
Yeah.
And then took them away
for a
as well.
particular reason.
For Mephisto at that point, I believe, right?
Yes, that's part of it. That's
Because the
So-
children were part of Mephisto, right?
They were shards of
made-
Mephisto.
They were
yes.
shards of, yeah.
I think that's the right term.
yes.
But
And there's a point where Pietro says, "Go get them, demon spawn."
yeah, exactly. Smithception on Twitch said, "What if the twins were never real?" That was also a thing in the comics where Wanda sort of. This is how House of M started, I believe.
This is all about how House of M started.
So she found out that she had manifested the twins and ended up going crazy.
Well, she had manifested the twins and Vision, because Vision had
Oh yeah, he
as
died,
well,
didn't
too.
he? Yeah, I forgot about that.
And so she brought him back and then created this whole separate life with him.
I mean, not just
And
him.
had
She brought other people back too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Hawkeye. That was a
Hawkeye,
big deal.
I want to say Blue Beetle, but I feel like that's a DC thing, and I'm
That's
crossing
Yeah,
over.
he's a
DC.
DC guy. Yeah.
There was another one that she brought a few people back, but then she had
Yeah.
also had these twins, and she had this whole happy life until she started to realize that wasn't what was going on, and then had a complete psychological breakdown.
I'm down if this phase is House of M. That would be amazing.
I would be
don't
down with
think
it
it
if
is,
there was mutants that existed in the MCU up to this point. It would actually have significance.
So I was talking to one of my friends about how this could possibly happen. How maybe the blip, like the reason why Monica could deal with going through the barrier 3 times is because she had been restructured through the blip. So her molecules had changed, and maybe a percentage of the people who were brought back turn into mutants. Right? That would be a great way to bring mutants into the
It
world.
makes sense, because it all goes back to like this whole thing about the CMBR radiation, and that they were basically disintegrated through an act of cosmic energy, then re-edited back together through another act of cosmic energy in that. So
So Iron Man will have created all the mutants.
Yeah. So back like what Smithception was saying on Twitch, hashtag Tony's fault. Because it's also interesting because we're going to have Ms. Marvel show up in her own TV series, and she was an Inhuman, and the MCU technically doesn't have Inhumans.
No, the TV series they did acknowledge existed. They just canned it because it was tanking, so they just didn't want it to bring things down. No, it wasn't good.
But
it did.
But they did do. They still had Inhuman. Like Agents of Shield had tons of Inhuman stuff.
Yeah. But from what I remember reading, what's his name say, Kevin Feige say, was that because of the last season of Agents of Shield, they recognized that is another universe. Like they broke that off into a separate.
In the last season, but everything up until
No. They said that whole series, including
They removed it from canon, right?
They removed it from canon.
I mean, they're going to have to kind of do some fancy footwork because there was literally characters from the movies that showed up there.
Yeah,
especially one of them being Phil Coulson. So So retcon is the best con. I know it's Marvel.
Who knows? Any other theories we want to talk about? Any other Easter eggs or stuff you want?
I'm going to talk about this. We talked about this off camera before we started. I'm going to talk about how I love the series. I love the fact that they really did some great marketing beforehand. I hate the fact that this series fell prey to similar issues at other Marvel properties, which is they can keep as many things secret and under wraps as they can, but the marketers sometimes shit the bed. And I say that because Funko Pop, who I have nothing but respect for as a company, they do great work. They make great collectibles.
Made of oil.
Screwed the pooch twice with this show. Once, because and these were just released recently, all the Funkos for the WandaVision series, you have Wanda and you have Vision and you have various iterations. And then you have the one which was Wanda's brother from the Halloween episode in his Halloween costume with the spray paint listed as, and I'm visualizing with the quotation fingers, Pietro Maximoff. And that's the actual name of the figure is Pietro Maximoff.
With the air quotes.
With the quotations around the name. Which is like, cool, but we're supposed to, I mean, we all know, because in the episode where he came back, the opening, it started with her having the flashback of Aaron Taylor Johnson from Age of Ultron, right up until her brother showed up at the end, and it was Evan Peters as Pietro.
Kick ass.
And then
and ass kicker.
And then when you
Evan
have
Peters played ass kicker and kick
and
ass
then
too.
when there's the flashback in the episode after that, the Halloween episode, it's him in that spot. It's him laying on the ground bleeding with the bullet, with the wounds in the right spot. So they literally, it's as if they'd erased her brother completely and replaced it with this person, which is again great, but it makes you wonder who's manipulating reality at this point.
Speaking of shitting the bed, marketers, if you guys are Lego fans out there and you get the magazines, don't look at the stuff for Immortals because
Never do that.
I just turned the page and I was like, well, shit. There it is. It's all of it.
Every year this happens where you get the Lego catalog.
I didn't think they would do. I thought they would do Black Widow before, to be honest, right? And I didn't mind that. But
every year where you know there's a Marvel movie coming out, you get it ruined by the Lego sets getting released because they released that catalog like 8 months before the movies.
Anyway, I luckily have not seen the Funko Pop thing, so I have not been spoiled for the last two episodes.
I was going to say the other. Well, they released that character the week that episode came out, so it was last week.
Oh, okay.
So it had only been out a week, but it was once it launched, everyone was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Because it's a site exclusive. You can't get it in stores. You have to order it from their site.
Ooh.
Which is why everyone caught it, because they were looking and went, oh. The other problem they had that Funko also had was when they initially did their product launch, where they talked about all the different things they're going to release over the year, they had a splash page for WandaVision where they had a lot of these characters in the different outfits. And there was another character that was on there that we have not seen up until this point, or anything like this character. And if you really want to look into it, You can go online and look it up. I'm not going to say
I found it.
about it. Yes.
Because I'll be spoiled. I don't care.
Yeah,
Which is where,
I'm not gonna spoil myself. Don't do it.
well, the character isn't named because it's just the group image of all the different figures.
But you can tell who it
It's
is.
what the character looks like. Where you go, oh, that's who that is.
Oh,
Neat.
that's fair.
Which is in line with a lot of the theories that people have, anyways. And it's nothing that's new that we haven't talked about. It's just oh, cool.
Okay. Well, I will try not to spoil myself. There is something interesting today. There was an interview with Tiona Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau. Her character, Monica, has been teasing this aerospace engineer throughout this series, her friend who's coming to help her.
Yes.
And recently she said in an interview that she can't wait for the character's identity to be revealed because it's going to be a big reveal. Here's the quote. I can't wait to see what y'all's reaction is when you learn who the aerospace engineer is. So, yeah. And Paul Bettany, to go off this, said that the actor's identity has not been revealed, but it's an actor I've longed to work with all of my life. We have some amazing scenes together, and the chemistry between us, I think, is extraordinary. Just fireworks on set. These motherfuckers know how to use their social media to just pull us in. I love it.
I mean, Bettany's been doing this since Iron Man, for God's sakes. Like, he knows how the game's played.
Oh, man. Yeah, man.
So, do you have any guesses as to who might be in the next 2 episodes? Then, like what actor?
Tons of guesses.
For personally, I'm not because I haven't.
Yeah, who'd you like to see?
I haven't seen it. What I would like to see is one of the Fantastic Four show up as the aerospace engineer. I'd love it to be either Richards or Sue. I think those two would be good people to bring in, especially when they mentioned the missing astronauts when they had the shield, the sword episode. If we see Mephisto, that's cool. I know that we're going to get into some heavy magic stuff with Doctor Strange. So if they start introducing it now, we have Loki coming up soon.
See, just to dive off that,
Yeah.
everyone's been talking about how, oh, it's Mephisto or, oh, it's Nightmare. I was having this conversation with, I don't even know if he's still in the chat, Steve, my buddy Steve, who was watching, or I don't know if he still is.
Steve.
There's one character that has appeared in the MCU that has been notably absent for everything that's been going on up until, from the time he arrived up until present. I don't think it's Mephisto. I don't think it's Nightmare. But what happened to Mordo?
I was thinking about that too. Oh man, Mordo would be so
And he
good.
really wants to kill all the other sorcerers.
He thinks there are too many sorcerers.
Yeah.
So what better way to control them than to have them in their own little pocket universes?
But he's also he's
Or getting his own two like super powered people to get rid of them, right? Like he could control Billy and Tommy. Oh my god, that would be so good. I was thinking about Mordo the other day.
Yes.
That was what's jumped in my head. 'Cause I mean, like, because Mephisto is easy. And everyone's, especially people that read the comics, they're expecting Mephisto. And people want Nightmare because they want Nightmare to be in a Multiverse of Madness, so they want him to be involved.
Didn't they cast him in the Multiverse of
Madness? There was so much talk when they first announced the movie like 2-3 years ago. And I'm sure the movie's gone through different iterations since then, so I don't trust anything that's going to happen in that. But like, that's why I was thinking, I'm like, because Mordo, because it makes sense. Especially knowing that Wanda is tying into Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
Mordo makes the most sense. And even more so after that quote from Paul Bettany, because those two have never worked together.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Oh.
And I would love to see those two on screen just having a conversation.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my wacky theory as to what's going on.
Does anyone know what the next one is called?
No,
they don't have
the next episode. Yeah, they haven't revealed any of that stuff, it seems, yet.
Ooh. Any other final thoughts before we go off into the universe? I
have a wacky thought that is absolutely not true, but I would love to see it, just because I like insane stuff. Where because it's like a television show. What if it was Mojo, like the Mojoverse? just to really fuck with people.
See, now that would be really cool and a great way to introduce mutants as well, because Mojo.
Yeah, there's no way it's going to be that, because it seems like that's more something that might be happening, more related to the Loki trailer we got.
Yeah.
But I just don't. It would be really cool.
But it would be really cool because that's also a great way to tie this in with the Loki thing.
Yes.
But it just doesn't make any sense for it, because it'd be so out of left field that there's no way Marvel. Marvel's done some pretty left field stuff, but I think it'd be a little too far for them to be like, here's this big green alien who's actually like running this whole show. Like, I don't think
You know
so.
what'd be awesome is if they didn't do that, but the last episode, that was like the post-credit scene, just having him watch all of the things. Oh my God,
right.
that would. Oh,
That'd be all right.
Die.
You wouldn't even need to show just like the back, like just like a back profile of like this giant bloated greenish yellow frame with that weird little like Matrix like spine coming out of his back, just like laughing. Because that Mojo laugh, that would be all we would need to see, and
Just get Kevin
Mark
Smith
Hamill
to
to do the voice of Mojo.
Oh,
That'd be
I
cool.
would love to hear Mark Hamill voice, like do the mocap and voice for Mojo.
He needs to get
that'd be
into the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Any other theories?
I'm kind of hoping that we get to keep Vision, but I don't think we will.
I think we will.
I think we will.
Will we? I don't know. I keep thinking that like if we go into this House of M stuff, like doesn't Vision have to go? Doesn't she have to lose everything? The kids
At
and
the end?
Vision and everything?
At the beginning, yeah.
There's one other thing that we haven't really talked. It hasn't really been discussed at all, which was at the end of Infinity War. Part of what they were doing was they were trying to upload Vision's consciousness into a database.
Yeah.
Like Shuri has, if not all, most of his consciousness locked in a database, which means that the Vision that we all know like his sentience exists somewhere.
Yeah. They were saying
So
that
you're
he's
saying
more
Paul
than
Bettany
just a
to
mind
star
stone, right?
in Black Panther 2, is what you're saying.
He's the new Black Panther.
He might show up. No, good Lord, no.
I fully hope that he turns into the fully white Vision. Yes.
Oh, God.
Like that.
In Black Panther.
No.
There are
Sorry.
so many
Sorry.
things wrong with that.
Oh, I was moving away.
There
I
are
was moving
so
away.
many things wrong with that, dude.
I moved away from Black Panther, and that was the wrong time to say this.
But if you're going to get vibranium anywhere, you're going to have to go to...
It's true.
But anyway, I do think that, especially with the new Black Panther movie coming up, there will be some connection with Vision somewhere in that, just because there's so many different points leading to that. And especially if we know
those
that
kids,
Wanda is going to be an overarching problem.
I think the kids
They
are
would
actually
need
going
Vision.
to. I think they're going to stay. I think we're going to actually see them age up again.
we're gonna get the young Avengers, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna
100%. I
and they're
think
gonna
we're
move
getting
the
Young
Avengers,
Avengers.
especially with Ms. Marvel coming around. Right?
Yeah.
It's just the perfect thing to do.
And everyone, like realistically, everyone wants to see a live action Squirrel Girl as well too. So give us the Young Avengers, damn it.
Just do it.
We've got 3 of them right now, like that we know exist. So just give us actually 4 if you count Kate Bishop.
Oh yeah, Kate
She's got
Bishop.
her own show coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, like we're gonna have most of them showing up in the next year or so. So
Oh
Does
my
Young
God.
Avengers ever have Miles Morales? Because they need to do live action Miles Morales.
yes, they did. They did.
There are rumors that Miles is showing up in the next Spider-Man movie.
You mean the one that crosses different Spider Verses?
The kid from Iron Man 3 could be Iron Lad, right? Like,
Good.
Yes.
because
Yeah.
he's a teenager or whatever. He's older now.
That was as a kid able to recreate a lot of Stark armor with minimal. And we also have Ironheart as well too.
Oh yeah, there was a rumor that Ironheart's actually in pre-production. So
Yeah.
as a series again.
All right, Iron Lad is a young Kang, and that's who I was hoping would be the villain for this series of movies. Like we had Thanos. I would love to see Kang.
We also have She-Hulk coming soon. Oh my God.
Yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot coming out. There's a lot of things to happen. I'm saying as many OU words for Smithception, especially because he loves hearing us say "out" in Canada.
Out.
Makes him smile.
We're out in a boot.
So we're headed to the end of this episode. Wait, does anyone else have any theories that they want to do?
I'm good on theories. I just can't wait to.
I
for
think
Friday.
We want to watch it.
I think because of this episode of this series, there are so many different like deep cuts, Easter eggs. Do you have a favorite one you've seen so far? Let's go with Shows first. Was there an Easter egg or some sort of something that you saw that you really liked?
You have to come back to me.
All right,
you caught me on the
David.
spot.
Ryu 1059.
At the start of this episode, the Modern Family style thing, I actually thought that was a song from something. Like, it was so convincing to me that I was like, is that song from another show? That's all I can think of.
Okay, I've got one.
Really
Now.
a deep diver.
Okay.
But
It's a good reference. Like that one was the closest to The Office, and happy endings that I was just like, oh, that's unnervingly good. Shows, what did your Easter egg?
Just in the 80s one, the Full House, where the camera was sort of going up the hill towards them as they were running. Like I thought that was a great connection to Elizabeth Olsen's sisters.
Yep.
All right, Hawk, you look concerned. He doesn't have his earphones on.
He got super serious.
He's like,
someone hacked it into his mainframe.
He's like, wait a minute, these aren't earphones at all.
I think he just went through the hex.
I'm very confused. Maybe it died.
He's got a wireless headset, doesn't he?
Does he? I don't know. We're all looking at him like, what is going on?
Yeah,
He's switching to earbuds.
Hawk, can you hear us?
Tapped out.
Hawk, are you there, sir? He's like,
Blink twice if you're in trouble.
I'm here. Sorry, my headphones just went weird there, so I had to switch over to.
we're making fun of you. It's cool.
That's cool.
Was there an Easter egg that you saw in this series that you really liked?
Oh, nothing I can think of right now.
I know what my favorite one is.
Yeah, no, I can't think of one right now.
If you think of one, let me know. Matt Moore,
Okay.
What about you?
I loved. There was two. They were both in the same episode, and I loved both of these. One was the explanation of the grid that was confining everyone. That's like this hexagonal pattern. Yeah, we're just calling it the hex, and I was like, thank you for finally naming her power the way that they've been calling it.
Yep.
In the comics for years and giving it an explanation that made sense. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Followed very shortly by she doesn't have any stupid nickname, right?
I love that too. That was good.
It was just, little stuff like that. It was just like the obvious nods to the comic stuff and how they've been doing it differently. I love that. And it's all been stuff that's been in the real world where they've been really acknowledging, like when people that aren't powered heroes, just talking about powered heroes, they've always had those little nods to comic continuity and like, well, what about this? What about this? Like, no, that doesn't happen in reality.
Yeah. There's some great Easter eggs. My favorite is such a weird Easter egg, and it was during the second episode when they did the 1960s Bewitched animated beginning, and there's a scene where Wanda's shopping, and there's a poster in the background for Bova's milk, and Bova was the humanoid cow nursemaid that raised Wanda and Pietro in the comics. And when I saw that, I died laughing. I had to like pause because it was such a good Easter egg.
I know.
And
it was so good.
The fact that they brought Bova sort of into the universe was just delightful. I loved it.
There was another fun little one in the most recent episode where the kids were playing video games and their controller turned into like a GameCube controller, and then it turned into an Atari joystick and then into Uno cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They did. It's such a good show. God damn it. Let's throw this out to the universe, the people that are listening to us out on the internet. Was there an Easter egg that you really liked? Was there some sort of did you like what we talked about on this episode? Are there any theories that we missed? Let us know. We are on social media. We are on email. Everything's in the post credits. You'll find it all there. Before I say thank you to all of you guys, we are planning on doing because there's only two episodes left of WandaVision. So every Friday, we're planning on jumping on the internet and doing a watch party with all of us doing a live reaction. I promise I will not watch the episode before we see it at night. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to listen. So I said what I said.
You're gonna have to cut yourself off like from social media all day long.
It's true. So 10 p.m. on Friday nights, we're gonna watch the WandaVisions this Friday, and next Friday we're gonna do a live react. I think after the last episode, we might actually record a little bit afterwards and talk about our brain melting.
How freaking awesome it was, or in the weird, bizarre universe of how disappointing it might be. Although I hope not. Sincerely doubt that at this point in time.
Because of rights issues, we are not going to play the episode on while we're watching it, but we'll give like a countdown, like a 3, 2, 1, and then we'll watch it together. I think we're gonna do some sort of Netflix watch party type thing. Disney watch party. They have Disney watch parties, so we can actually do this together.
Yeah.
If you guys want to actually join us, maybe we'll throw out a link on our social medias to do the watch party with us. Yeah.
We could probably throw a link out on this for the watch party if people are tuning in here, and that way everyone can sync up with us and watch what we're watching.
I like this idea. Anyways, thank you, Shows. Thank you, David. Thank you, Hawk. Thank you, Matt Moore, for coming and talking about WandaVision. And thank you, Heel Chris TTWF for following us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so
you know him. You've met him.
I know. I was just like, I couldn't see behind the
he's
my
been
boom.
on the show.
It's true. We'll have to have him on again. That'd be awesome.
Should. Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming and talking about WandaVision. I look forward to talking to you on Friday and watching it live. Thank you all out there for listening to us. We shall talk to you guys soon. Goodbye.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.